Hi there, today's topic is, what are some of the greatest lessons we can learn from some of the greatest writers of all time? If you've got 5 minutes, I've got 5 great writing tips from 5 great writers. Well, where do you look for your writing tips? Do you look online? Do you look on Twitter? Do you look on Facebook in Facebook groups? I'm going to suggest to you that that's probably not the best place for you to begin looking for your writing tips. Well, if you were studying to be a surgeon, would you look to the masters of that craft and that science in order to learn something, or would you ask your colleagues who are at the same level as you were? Of course you would ask the masters. If you're asking wannabe and newbie writers on Facebook for their best advice, you're going to get advice that's not much better than what you already know. I think some of the best lessons for writing come from some of the best writers. Here are 5 important ones as far as I'm concerned. The first lesson is from Ernest Hemingway. Always stay a student to your craft. If you think for a moment that you get to a point where your writing doesn't need to improve anymore, then you probably aren't really a writer. Writers are continually trying to improve what they're doing. Every piece of writing, they want to be better than the next one and looking for ways to improve. As Ernest Hemingway wrote, "We are all apprentices in a craft where no one ever becomes a master." Tip number 2, your work is not irreplaceable. Never for a moment think that if you don't write that particular memoir about your experiences or that novel about that story, that somebody else might not write the same thing. Your work is not irreplaceable. This lesson comes from William Faulkner. He wrote, "If I had not existed, someone else would have written me." Hemingway, Dostoevsky, all of us. Tip number 3 is, if you don't read, don't write. Don't ever write. You know, reading is the lifeblood of a writer's craft, and you need to read often, you need to read widely, you need to be reading all of the time when you're not actually writing, which suggests perhaps that you spend less time on social media and more time with your nose in a good book. This lesson comes from no less than Samuel Johnson, who once wrote, "The greatest part of a writer's time is spent in reading in order to write. A man will turn over half a library to make one book." Applies equally as well to women these days. Rule number 4, there are no surefire ways to accomplish anything in writing. You know, if you look on Amazon and you see all kinds of how-to books about writing, you'll find 7 great ways to do this, or the 5 perfect ways to do that, or the only rules for novel writing. None of them are right. Doris Lessing once wrote, "There are no laws for the novel. There never have been, nor can there ever be." And finally, tip number 5, write because you have to, not because you care what others will think of you. This lesson comes from the great Virginia Woolf, who once wrote, "Literature is strewn with the wreckage of men who have minded beyond reason the opinions of others." Well, there they are, 5 tips from 5 of the most successful writers in the English language. If you want to, take 1 or 2 of them, put them on Instagram, put them on Facebook, but pay attention to them. That's all I ask. Now I got to get back to my manuscript. Maybe you will too. See you next time. Subscribe to Write, Fix, Repeat, and maybe I can help you improve your writing knowledge and skills. 5 tips at a time.